new testimonies that aliens exist presented before Congress. Since the idea about some other beings existing somewhere in the universe began to spread, there's been uproar from different camps about sightings that hint toward the existence of these beings. However, most of the claims have been dismissed as speculations and conspiracies with no merit. But recently, some level of credibility is being added to these claims, as even governmental bodies are beginning to register unprecedented numbers of UFOs, or what they have dubbed UAP sightings. In fact, the Pentagon has in the past couple of years established a special division to oversee the research into UAPs, and since its establishment, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office has a record of over 300 sightings that they're looking into. Results from the evaluation of these cases have, however, not been made public. In a shocking new development, the U.S. Congress organized a hearing on the claims involving a former intelligence official, which says that the United States government is covering up pieces of evidence about aliens that they've in fact come in contact with. This hearing is part of a broader effort by Congress to increase transparency and research into UAPs. In 2021, the Pentagon released a report on UAPs that acknowledged that the government does not have an explanation for many of the sightings. The report also called for more research into the phenomenon. This will be the first time that Congress has held a public hearing on UAPs in over 50 years. It's a sign that the government is taking the issue more seriously and that it is open to hearing from witnesses like the ones that came forward this time. It's an awful amount of attention being paid to what most people dismiss as speculation by some attention seekers, if you ask me. If these were just mere speculations, why would an intelligence outfit so sophisticated like the Pentagon go through the pains of dedicating a whole division to look into this? On the 26th of July, Congress had a session where they heard the testimonies from 3 whistleblowers on what they claim is a cover-up by the United States government. This hearing attracted a whole lot of attention from people both in and outside the United States. Among the 3 witnesses that came before Congress, David Grush, who was an intelligence official, seems to be the center of interest in all of this. His former position puts him in a position of one who should know what he is saying, and this is why most people are drawn to his testimony. David had in June claimed the U.S. government is in possession of what he describes as intact and partially intact alien vehicles. And not just that, he also claims that some biological beings were recovered from some of these crafts. Congress claims that the recent attention being given to claims of UAP sightings is on the grounds of national security, and this takes 2 dimensions, which cover 2 possibilities. First, most people have dismissed some of the sightings of unknown objects as some unidentified aircraft of some sort. And the possibility here is that some enemies of the nation might be carrying out unauthorized surveillance on U.S. airspace. If this is the case, then urgent attention is needed to identify these crafts and take adequate measures. On the other hand, if there's a possibility that some extraterrestrial life forms have found their way to Earth, then there's no telling what the follow-up events might be, and it's important that they look into it. Either way, it's best that attention is paid to some of these occurrences in order to ensure that nothing takes the country by surprise. Now, let me take you through some details of the claims of these individuals before Congress. It is important to note that these testimonies were done under oath, which makes it a step up from the usual behind-the-scenes claims that have been made before now. David Grush's testimony has it that the U.S. government has in the past involved itself in some programs in which the primary aims were to hunt down and gather crashed UAPs while attempting to make use of the technology for their own goals. The crazy thing about this testimony is that David, up until 2023, had led a department within the U.S. Department of Defense agency, which was tasked with the analysis of UAPs. For someone in that position, it's quite plausible if he says he had access to such information. The testimony also alleged a cover-up, as David claimed that he was denied access to certain information when he decided to make the information he just testified to public. And he says that people are coming after him because of his claims. And the conspiracy goes deeper, as David claims that some have actually been harmed physically for trying to go against the bodies involved in the conspiracy. David, however, couldn't categorically assert to what level the physical harm was. When Congressman Tim Burchett asked him if he has direct knowledge of anyone who had faced such because of what they know, his answer was very much positive, and there was no ambiguity of any sort. But when asked if anyone was killed in the process, David answered, "I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities, so we might not actually know the details of that information anytime soon." Some who dismiss these claims on the basis that they are just conspiracy theories have dwelled on some of these blurred lines to discredit the whole claim. But the fact that Congress deemed the topic worthy to be deliberated on seems to add more credibility to the claims. Some believe that this move Congress is merely a move to restore the trust that the populace has in them. Considering that the topic surrounding UFOs and aliens has been gaining a lot of traction lately, they believe they just want to identify with the people. As expected, the Pentagon had its representatives on the ground during this hearing. They denied the claims made by David, saying there was no evidence to back the claims. In all these, we are starting to get a pattern from former serving officers and other employees of the government, which makes it a lot more compelling to believe these stories even if you never wanted to. Just recently, Eric Hecker, one of the employees sent to work at a facility in Antarctica, came forward with similar claims. Coming from him, it wasn't just hearsay, as he had pictures of him in the said facility where he had worked for some time. Is there really something we're not being told? Well, aside from David, there were two other witnesses that came forward to offer their testimonies on the issue. Ryan Graves, a former Navy pilot, is among the three people that spoke before Congress on this matter. Talking about his experiences with unidentified aerial phenomena, he said that he and his fellow service members observed a dark gray or black cube inside of a clear sphere while in flight on one of their missions. And the shocking thing he said is that these sightings were not rare or isolated, but rather routine. If this is true, it changes everything. Graves called for a standardized process that would allow people to document their own UAP sightings to make these things more transparent. This is a step that would both reduce stigma and provide useful information for safety practices. He also urged Congress to put aside stigma and address the security and safety issues this topic represents. According to him, transparency is required on the matter so that people that come forward and discuss these things freely without having any evidence covered up. The cover-up makes evidence to back these claims difficult to reach, thereby reducing any claim to a conspiracy theory. He closes his testimony by saying that Americans deserve to know what's happening in their skies. David Fravor, a retired Navy commander, also testified about his experience in 2004. He said that he and another pilot were on a training mission off the coast of California where they saw a white, tic-tac-shaped object flying erratically. The object was moving at speeds and altitudes that were impossible for any known aircraft, and it was able to change direction instantaneously. Fravor said that he and the other pilot followed the object for several minutes, and they were able to get close enough to see that it was smooth and seamless, with no visible markings or seams. The object then accelerated and disappeared into the clouds. The amazing thing here is that Fravor's testimony is one of the most well-known and well-documented of a UAP encounter. He has been interviewed by numerous media outlets, and his story has been the subject of several documentaries. In his testimony to Congress, Fravor said that he believes the object he saw was not from this world. He said that he is not saying it's aliens, but that he does not have any other explanations for what he saw. Hopefully in the future, these claims will come backed up with solid pieces of evidence. That's all for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.